One NBA player is so rich, he bought the treehouse of his dreams. Another spent their fortune on an $80 million yacht. These are the craziest things NBA legends actually bought.
Ja Morant!
And first, we gotta address the elephant in the room. Because let's face it, LeBron James is entering his 20th year in the NBA. And spoiler alert, he's getting kinda old. Which begs the question, what is LeBron going to do once he retires? But believe it or not, he's already hinted at the answer. As recently, LeBron, along with other aging veterans, Kevin Love and Draymond Green, invested in a sport that's taking the world by storm: pickleball. LBJ may only be an owner for now, but something tells me he'll be on the pickleball court sooner rather than later. While LeBron is spending thousands of dollars on pickleball, Kobe Bryant once spent money just to assert his dominance. It was 2007, the grand opening of Blush Boutique nightclub in Las Vegas. When out of the blue, professional poker player Antonio Esfandiati started showing everyone up by dropping $3,000 on 2 bottles of Cristal champagne. And once Kobe saw this, he immediately knew what needed to be done. So my man purchased 15 bottles of Cristal champagne, costing him over 20 G's. It doesn't matter the time or place, no one shows up the Black Mamba and gets away with it. But if you think this purchase was crazy, the items are only going to get more wild and more expensive from here. Starting with one legend's first ever NBA purchases. See, even though the first purchases don't cost millions, it ends up feeling the most expensive to incoming rookies. So as a result, most players use their first paycheck to purchase a car, house, or something of sentimental value. But not Gilbert Arenas, who used his first paycheck on a shopping spree for the ages. From a $40,000 chain with his initials to a Cadillac Escalade with 5 TVs and a $60,000 stereo system. My man spent so much, he couldn't even afford to go on a date. Try going on a date in the middle of the month with $100 left, Arenas once joked. Ouch, dude needed that stimulus check sooner. Although, in retrospect, these purchases were better than what Dwight Howard bought, because Dwight Howard owns something which nearly destroyed his career. As prior to becoming an 8-time All-Star, a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and an NBA champion, Howard purchased an exotic snake? Only Howard doesn't just own one snake. He once owned 50, costing Howard over $50,000. Just not in the way you would think, because back in 2020, Howard was locked in the NBA bubble in desperate need of someone to watch over his snakes. So Howard offered 2 women $50,000 to babysit his snakes. Only, when it was time to pay up, Howard was nowhere to be found. So they ended up suing him for $50K instead. Good luck trying to slither your way out of that one. However, there is one person who somehow makes Howard look good: Carmelo Anthony. Because back in 2011, Carmelo went down in history as the first athlete to purchase, wait for it, a camel. And this purchase brought up a lot of questions, most notably, how is Melo going to house a camel in New York City? But that's neither here nor there, because if Carmelo was willing to spend over $50,000 on a camel, then that's on him. You do you, Carmelo. But enough with exotic animals, let's move on to something we all own: shoes. And when it comes to footwear, some shoes end up costing a fortune. As in 2017, a pair of Game 1 MJ Converse Fast Breaks from the 1984 Olympics sold for over $190,000. But if you ask me, I'd much rather own PJ Tucker's Air Jordan 1s. From using genuine crocodile leather to delicately placing 2020 white diamonds, Tucker spent over 100 hours customizing them, which is why these diamond-encrusted Air Jordan 1s are now worth $250,000. Pros the Da Vinci of basketball shoes. Only we're still just getting started, because one legend spent millions on a plane that doesn't even work, while another owns a $29 million mansion. But before we dive into those purchases, it's time to talk about Ja Morant, a player who is on his way to legendary status as we speak. Yet, he's not just good at basketball, he also started a fashion movement Because in 2020, Morant reached out to Vietnamese jeweler Johnny Dang for a custom diamond grills. And the rest was history. And his $30K diamond grills ended up looking so fly, it also persuaded his teammates, Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson, to get their own. Add it up, and these Grizzlies alone spent more than $100K on grills. Only this is far from the most expensive jewelry Morant has purchased. Since joining the league in 2019, Morant has also spent over $89,000 on chains and $240,000 on iced watches. Dude doesn't just play like a superstar, he looks the part too. And the same can be said about James Harden and Russell Westbrook, because somehow, year after year, James Harden and Russell Westbrook are always shocking us with their bold wardrobe choices. One moment Westbrook is dressing up as a construction worker, and the next Harden is out here looking like Fred Flintstone. It's gotten so out of hand that Westbrook predicts Harden spends over $500,000 per year on clothing. To which Harden replied, "I bet Russ spends between $300,000 to $350,000. Sheesh, they spend almost $1 million combined just to look Gucci. But do you know what else doesn't come cheap? LeBron's obsession with himself? As between a personal cryo chamber, an individual nutritionist, and an electrostimulation machine, among others, LeBron reportedly spends over $1.5 million a year towards keeping his body healthy. Dude bet on himself, and now he's only a few years away from potentially playing with his oldest son, Bronny James. Meanwhile, Dwayne Wade once took a massive gamble on his mom, because like most of us, Wade would do anything for his mom, even though she wasn't always there for him, because throughout his childhood, Wade's mom struggled with drug addiction and had multiple run-ins with the law. However, in 2004, that all changed, because Wade's mom went from consuming cocaine and heroin to consuming the Word of God. As in 2004, she began formal ministry training with a friend, eventually working her way up to the title of Pastor Jolinda Wade. Only the story gets better, because shortly after his mom became a pastor, Wade spent over $1 million to buy his mom her very own church. To which his mom replied, "Today is one of the highest moments in my life." And that's the Son of the Year material right there. But now, let's transition from a top-notch son to an all-time great teammate, Scottie Pippen. Because after leaving Jordan's spotlight in 1998, Pippen wanted to fly to even greater heights, so bro bought himself a Gulfstream G200 jet for $4.3 million. However, this jet turned out to be somewhat of a disappointment, since upon buying the jet, Pippen realized it didn't even work, costing him another $1 million just to fix it. I guess this is what happens without MJ. However, at least he's not James Harden, who's not only reported to be a bad teammate, but is also known to spend a little too much money at the club. To put it simply, my man can't stay away from the ladies, because one night the Beard dropped $1.53 million at a single club, and this club was so shocked, they put his jewelry in the rafters. And I would be taken back too, considering he probably spent over $10 million at clubs. That's just downright concerning. Unlike MJ's $29 million mansion in Chicago, because this 56,000 square foot mammoth of a house has it all. I'm talking a putting green, an aquarium, a gourmet kitchen, and my favorite, a full-sized MJ-themed basketball court. The only thing that could top this mansion is $80 million yacht. From a yacht club and a fully equipped gym to a movie theater, and of course a basketball court, this 5-deck yacht is 230 feet of pure happiness. Hence the yacht's name, Joy. And speaking of which, Shaq might be 7'2" and over 300 pounds, but deep down inside, he's a giddy little kid. Because in 2018, Shaq reached out to the show Treehouse Masters with $400,000 in hope of owning the ultimate treehouse. And let's just say, Treehouse Masters did not disappoint. With amenities such as a dartboard, poker table, full bar, and a fire pit all intertwined into the creation, they went so above and beyond that it made Shaq speechless. "This is the best gift ever," Shaq said. "I'm at a loss for words, it's just awesome." Shaq at a loss for words? Now that's almost as rare as Shaq hitting a free throw, but it's hard to blame him for getting so excited. After all, he now owns a hangout spot that all kids dream of. Want to know what makes me speechless? Shaq's business empire. Because we all know that Shaq is involved in commercials for General Insurance and Papa John's. But not a lot of people realize that Shaq is also a successful business owner. For instance, did you know that Shaq's business owns 150 car washes, 40 gyms, 17 Auntie Anne's, and at one point 155 Five Guys? I certainly did not. Although, as of this year, Shaq traded in his ownership stake in Five Guys to open up his own burger place called Shaquille's. If all goes according to plan, there should be Shaquille's near you within the next few years. However, Shaq's real secret to a successful lifestyle? Subscribing to the channel. So what are you waiting for? Join the Alley-Oop community today.